Hey, what is up? Welcome to part 4 out of 5 in our geometric poster design series. Today, I'm going to be teaching you how to use layers and lines in Adobe Illustrator. This is the last thing you need to learn before you create an awesome geometric poster all your own. Looks just like this, but with your own colors, fonts, and style and design. It's going to be really great. So today's the last video, and the next one we're going to put all the pieces together. So without further ado, let's jump in. All right, so here we are in Adobe Illustrator. Today I'm going to be talking about layers and lines, so if you haven't already, go ahead and download this file from the description below and follow along. First up is layers and hierarchy. To understand that, we're going to go over here to our layers panel, and you'll see we have 3 different layers, layer 1, layer 2, and our guide. And each layer has a different color associated with it. Remember that, and we're going to get to that in a minute. These little twirl down options are going to show you what things live within each layer. So in layer 2, we just have this yellow circle. In layer 1, we have a lot more things. We have all these different shapes here, our different circles, these lines. And so we're going to come back and look at what it means to change this order in a minute, which is a really important part of layers. Before we do, I just want to make a note. Remember how these are blue and these are red. So that means when I hover, you're going to notice the outline is different depending on which layer each object lives in. So that's a really easy way at a glance to tell what layer you're working with. You can also lock layers by clicking right here, and then no matter what I do, you can't select or mess with the things in the layer. You can also hide it with the little eye. What now I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to move something from one layer into another. So if I click Command X, that's cut, and then I click on this layer 1 and click Command F, which is paste in front, it's now going to paste that little object in this layer at the very top in the exact same spot it already was. So that's an easy way to move things from one layer to another if you're wanting to move things around. Another thing is if you want to move objects within a certain layer. So say I no longer want this light blue to be on top, I want it to be on the bottom. The shortcut for this is going to be Command and open bracket. So see over here, it's lowering it down. Now I've put it at the bottom, and if I wanted to select the blue one, I can take it and lower it just 1, and now I've changed the order of this. You can also do it by dragging things over here up and down, but honestly, it gets a little confusing when there's a lot of stuff happening in a layer and you're not going to be able to see that so easily. So the easiest way to do that is to use your brackets. Another good thing is if you hold Shift Command, that's going to allow you to move things all the way to the top or the bottom of a layer just by clicking that button. Super useful, and that is an overview of how to use layers. Next up, we're going to look at lines, arcs, and the grid tool. Over here, we'll have our line tool. This should be right next to your type tool. If you hold it, you're going to open your rectangular grid tool. Just like all the other shapes, I can click and it'll give me the option to create a specific size. So I could do 200 by 250, and then you can choose the dividers you want. So say I want 4 dividers that are vertical and 3 that are horizontal. If I click OK, now it creates my grid. Right now there's no stroke, so I can use the eyedropper to pull in this color. And so I have a grid. I can also change my scale of this and get it to the size I want. Another option to do that simply is to just drag, which is going to be really helpful when we're creating our geometric poster because we're going to use a grid as a baseline. The next thing is looking at lines. So there's 2 main ways I use to create lines in Illustrator. One of them is the backslash, which is the line tool. And so with the line tool, you click and drag and you can create a line. Pretty simple. When I let go, the line is locked in place. Another way to do it is the pin tool, which we've already looked at, but you'll see the pin tool does something a little bit different. First, I'll click on the anchor point where I want to start, and then click on the next one. But what the pin tool has done is it's actually joined these 2 lines together by creating this second line. So now this is all one line. And so that can be useful for different things, but if you just want to create a line, but you don't want them to connect everything, the line tool is where you want to use it. All right, lastly, we're going to look at the arc tool. This is also living underneath your line tool. And so what I can do is find this bottom guideline, holding Shift will lock my proportions, and then find the rightmost one. So now I have these 2 little arcs that are symmetrical. I could do the same thing I just did with the pin tool, where I use the pin tool to create lines in between and make the shape all one big shape. But another simple way to do this is if I just select both of these lines and click Command J, that's the shortcut for join, and it's actually going to join those lines together as best as Illustrator can figure out. It'll almost always do a straight line, and it'll try to figure out which anchor points make the most sense to join together. That's a great tool and something that we're going to use a lot when we're creating our poster. So that's the general idea. Make sure you go ahead and practice this. Move your items up and down, change them from layers, and then practice the line, arc, and grid tool because these things are going to be really essential to creating our geometric poster. All right, so that is using lines and layers in Adobe Illustrator. That's it. Next up is going to be putting all the pieces together and creating our geometric poster. I'm super excited. Stay tuned for the next video, and by the end of it, you'll have an awesome poster to print out, put in your room, and just be really proud of. Can't wait to see you in the next one.